Hello, today, Saturday, August 9th, we're talking about two more cases that were heard before the United States Supreme Court. This time they're dealing with exceptional student education, ESE, that we more formally use the term. And this is a topic that I know those of you who are teachers and school administrators know a lot and deal with handicapped children, disabled children, a great deal. And you know, working with this special population, the challenges that are involved in allowing these students to succeed up to their full potential. Well, we could spend an entire semester or maybe a couple of semesters dealing with the court issues involving these children. And now, especially today, with an exploding autistic population, we're finding even more challenges as to how the public schools can meet the needs of this very special group of students. So today we're talking about, in our first case, the Board of Education versus Rowley. It was handed down in 1982, and there's a new legal term I don't think we've discussed so far called a writ of certiorari that I want you to research and understand what that means. It has to do with a process that the United States Supreme Court can use in reviewing a lower court case under special conditions. This one involved the Education for All Handicapped Children that was passed by the Congress in 1975. Federal dollars were allocated to the states to help provide special education services for this group of kids. And doing the research on this legislation, Congress found that many handicapped children did not attend school, and those that did attend school did not receive the quality services that they deserved, and that many children simply waited until time to drop out or achieving the age to drop out, and many did. So this legislation was in response to a real need to do something for handicapped children in the public schools. It was through this legislation that we became familiar with a term called FAPE, an acronym that means Free and Appropriate Public Education. I'm sure you've heard that term a great deal. We also began to hear about the development of an IEP, an individual education plan that was developed for children who were considered handicapped, or now I think the term is more appropriately called disabilities. So this IEP was an instrument that was revised annually. It was developed by what we call an LEA, someone who is skilled in dealing with handicapped children from the district, a teacher, parents, and sometimes even the student would participate in the development of the IEP or review of the IEP. In my experience, very few times were children actually involved. In fact, most of the time, many times, especially in my work in serving small, rural, high poverty districts, oftentimes parents would not even attend an IEP meeting. They would simply let the school develop the IEP, and then they would sign off, and everything was supposed to be wonderful. And you and I know that it was not many times. Well, in this particular case, we're talking about Amy Rowley. Amy is a deaf student, a kindergarten student who wore hearing aids. She was a very good lip reader. Her parents were also deaf. And her parents requested, even during her first grade year, she did pretty well in her kindergarten year, but her parents wanted some additional services provided to Amy beyond what the school district was serving or was providing. The school district was providing additional tutor help each day and special speech language services for about 3 hours a week. But the parents said, you know, this is really not enough. They wanted an interpreter to be provided to Amy because they felt Amy was not achieving her full potential. Well, the parents filed or requested a hearing, and the administration agreed with the school that the school, or the hearing officer agreed with the school that the school was doing really all it needed to do and supported the district decision and turned down the parent request. Well, the parents brought civil action in federal court citing a denial of FAPE, denial of a free and appropriate public education, and decided the child was not reaching its full potential and could do better if services were provided. Well, the district court agreed that the school ought to do more and provide the tutor services. The district appealed the decision to the appeals court, and the appeals court also affirmed the lower court decision. However, on a writ of certiorari, as we mentioned earlier, the Supreme Court looked very closely at this case and at the language and the standards that Congress set up in trying to decide what does it mean by achieving full potential for each child. And so the court rejected this idea that there's nothing in the law that requires a student's maximum potential be met. So this was quite considered a setback by those in the handicapped community. And how do you feel about that? When you look at this case and read about it, did the court actually push back or set back the progress that had been made on handicapped children by making this decision? We had not heard this before. We, as educators, always think about maximizing the potential for every child when they come through our doors, but yet the court said there's no requirement in the law that says, you know, that a child must meet its full potential. And it seemed to me like the court might have been lowering the bar here. How do you feel about this? The second case, in 1999, Cedar Rapids Community School District versus Garrett. This was also brought before the court on a writ of certiorari. And this deals with related services that would be provided to a student who might be severely handicapped. In this case, Garrett was severely handicapped. He required a ventilator to survive. He was a very bright young man and could learn with specific equipment that would allow him to attend school, but he also needed nursing services to handle the ventilator that he was required to have each day. Well, the parents requested that the school district provide a nurse to handle the ventilator services during school. The district denied the request and said, you know, the law doesn't say that we have to provide these services. And one of the reasons that the district denied the request was money. And as you know, money is a big deal, especially in times of funds being very short. So the district said, no, we're not going to do this. A hearing officer concluded that the district should bear the financial responsibility of providing the medical services needed to handle the ventilator for Garrett. So the district challenged the decision in federal district court this time, and the court affirmed the hearing officer decision. The court said yes, you know, the district needs to bear this responsibility. The Court of Appeals also affirmed the district court decision, and when the Supreme Court took a look at it, the Supreme Court also said absolutely, you know, the district should not be able to deny something as critical of a need as nursing services to a child who is handicapped like Garrett might be. So here you go. You've got the court saying no in one and yes in another, but the yes on related services. So, but I want you to take a look at the dissent by Justice Thomas in this case. By reading the dissent, it seems to me that Justice Thomas says, you know, money does make a difference, and financial funds need to be considered whenever we're talking about providing services to children. So, with these two cases in mind, and also the questions that I want you to take a look at this week, think about how your responsibilities might be in providing services to disabled children in your capacity as a school leader. Also, with the forum question, the forum is a real issue that has happened recently, and as a school leader, I want you to think about how you're going to react to that particular situation. So, again, ESE is a big deal. I'm sure we'll have lots of discussion about your experiences so far. So I'm interested in hearing your thoughts about these two very important cases and your personal experience. So have a good week.